going to do a demo video on how to pinch, and this is for all my levels of ceramics. So one of the things I did is I went around my house and I picked out some pieces that were made by pinch, and you can see we've got a lot of different varieties of objects that you can make. You can start out with simple bowls. You can put the bowls. You can create little creatures. You can get more complex. This is an example of an ocarina. And then we have our double pinch projects, which are two pinch forms put together and made into, these are rattles, but you can make them into hollow forms. And here's another example. So these are just some things I have around the house. So let's talk about the steps of pinching. This is one of the easiest methods because really all you need are your hands. And so to start out with pinching, you want to start out with plastic clay. So this is where you might take a look at your clay and see if it's plastic enough to begin the pinching. So one of the key things for success in pinching is that your clay is really plastic, about as plastic as the clay that we needed for our coil pots when we were working on those. So I'm gonna go get some clay and show you how to work it up. Hi everybody. Now I'm going to show you how to set up your workplace and find some tools around your house, because I know I didn't send you home with tools. So here we go. Let me show you some of the things I found around my house. Here are some of the tools that you can commonly find in your kitchen and your garage: paper clips, knives, shells, screws, paper clips, old jewelry, toys, pen caps, all make great tools. So this is the beginning of pinch construction, and what I'm doing right now is working water into the clay. You could do this by soaking it in a bucket for a little bit, but you definitely want to work that water all the way through that clay. So what I'm doing is I'm just kind of rolling my worked up piece on the table, and I want to start with the sphere. So you start with a round piece. Now you can do a vessel pinch, which is just basically creating a bowl. And when you create a bowl, you want to take your thumb and push it into that sphere so that it almost goes to the bottom of your piece. There, you can see how deep that is. Now what I'm doing is I'm continuing to pinch it and to smooth it and round it and work it. And now I'm working on the second piece. So if you are planning on making a hollow form, this is a double pinch form, that's the way you do it. Now going back to those commonly found tools, I just found the steak knife. It really kind of does a nice job of cutting. It takes the place of your fettling knife in your tool basket in the studio. Chopsticks make great incising tools as well. And I just found a broken piece of wood, made a really lovely stamping tool. And if you need to cut clay, since you don't have a wire tool, dental floss works really well for cutting. This is an old bracelet that I had. If you just roll jewelry or any other objects into the clay, you can get a really cool repetitive pattern. This is a tiny little credit card, made cool little hatching lines really easily by just stamping that in. Screw caps, screws, anything that you can think of that you can play with in your piece will create some interesting textures, including pin caps, snap ties, you name it. You know, paper clips are great for excising tools. Pin caps, as I mentioned, have different types of designs with them. So just play with your textures when you're working on your forms. Now I am adding these two forms together to make a double pinch form. And what I'm doing with my steak knife is I'm just really scoring up those surfaces. So really making sure that there's a high degree of texture And then I'm adding some water to that since I didn't have slip. And what I'm doing is just working that water even further into that clay so it becomes slippy. Once I get enough water in there, I'm going to join those two pieces together. Okay, so here's another view. I'm going to put those pieces together. And then what you do is you really work that clay over the seam so that you don't have any air that is going to be lost. You're actually building air pressure into your form once you close that seam. Now you also have created a hollow form which could blow up in the kiln, especially if it's very thick. But the cool thing about these is, once you create a sphere, you can actually create lots of different shapes based upon that sphere by just kind of pounding it on the table. Also, rolling it on the table will really help smooth and compress those clay particles as well. There is my sphere, and I'm just going to go and kind of show you that you can have that sphere. If you pound it on the table, you can get a cube. So all I did was just pound the sides on the table. And for this one, I just kind of flattened it. You can do all sorts of shapes with that. So you can be as creative as you want to. This is a very small double pinch form that we made into an ocarina, and that ocarina actually works. So have fun. You're not just, you don't have to just create a hollow form. You can work with little vases, etc. But the one thing that you must do if you have a hollow form is to create vent holes. The vent holes let the steam that's building up inside your piece when it's firing escape in a productive manner rather than blowing your piece up, especially if we fire too fast. So that is your end product. So good luck, everybody. Hope you do well, and happy pinching.